Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Leaders Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more who represent our community all around the world. This month's SG Women Month is proudly presented by Google for Startups and Silicon Valley Bank.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mayokun Adeoti.
Good evening.
My name is Mayokun Adeoti, the director of Startup Grind Jos, and I welcome everyone to this panel session today. Today's event is a series of events which we have outlined for the month of June, which is our Women Month, where we are celebrating the achievements of women all over the world, and we are also getting to hear them speak. We are featuring women all over our platforms across the world. And I welcome you all. I welcome our panelists and our attendees to today's session, where we would be discussing the topic, women and the future of work. So it's my pleasure to welcome Kyenpiya Jessica Nyabam, the founder of Child Love and Protection Advocacy Initiative, CLAPAI, which is an orphanage that has the highest number of children, I believe, on the Plateau state. You are highly welcome, Madam. You are highly welcome
Thank
today.
you.
Kaneng Rwang-Pam, a certified trained trainer, and also the lead consultant of KRP Communications Limited. It's indeed a pleasure to have you join this panel session today. Also, we have with us Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba, ANPR, who is the CEO of Correct Hamlet, a conglomerate made up of Correct Amusement Park, Correct Hamlet Events, and Correct Hamlet Media. Thank you for joining us today. We also have Mrs. Esther Vihishima, our mommy in the house, who is the education director of Little Lambs School, one of the Christian academies in Jos. Thank you for joining us, Ma. And it's also a pleasure to welcome Dr. Afrah Jemal Mohammed, a young medical doctor, I believe recently graduated this year, if I'm not mistaken. And she's also the founder and CEO of Life for Moms, which is an organization that strives to reduce maternal mortality. Thank you, Dr. Afrah, for joining in on this panel session today. So before we go into the discussion proper, I would like to throw open the floor to our panelists, every one of us, to quickly do another introduction about themselves and what they do, please. And I want to start with Mrs. Esther Vihishima.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Mrs. Esther Vihishima. I am a professional teacher with Little Lamb School, and I've been teaching for well over 3 decades. I work with children. I have a passion of working with children from the nursery level of school to the college level. And as you rightly heard, I have a passion to promote Christian education and to impact my generation with quality Christian education that affects their heads, affects their hearts, and affects their hands. That's a little about me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that brief introduction. Okay, so can we take Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba? Let's hear from you, please. Okay, I can't hear you. I don't know whether the other panelists can hear her.
Can hear her too.
Okay.
Can't hear.
Can't hear her.
There's a challenge with your audio, even though you are not muted. Okay, so while you try to get that fixed, let's hear from Mrs. Kaneng Rwang-Pam. You can kindly unmute yourself and introduce. Thank you.
I have. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. For those of us in Nigeria, my name is Kaneng Rwang-Pam. I am a market development consultant. I describe myself as somebody who wears about 3-4 hats. I lead a team of young farmers to grow and distribute fruit and vegetables across a number of states, about 15 states in Nigeria. So I am in the business of buying and selling. I am also an activist and advocate for gender equity and equality. I have a small foundation called the Kyenpiya Foundation for Education and Migration Awareness. And we have 2 main subcomponents, and one of which is migration advocacy, where we have an empowerment platform for especially women. Then we do outreaches. We also have a social works component. The outreaches are basically to raise awareness on the vulnerability factors to human trafficking, basically dealing with the ills of society, from dysfunctional families to poor sexuality education or sexual and reproductive health rights to corruption, quite a number of themes. So that's for the NGO. I am also a trained trainer in what is called Markets for the Poor. So just to leave it at this point.
All right, thank you.
As we go on.
Thank you very much for that brief introduction. Now let's go to Mrs. Kyenpiya Nyabam. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Hello, good evening all.
Good evening.
Okay, my name is Kyenpiya.
Yeah.
Kyenpiya, yes, Kyenpiya Nyabam. I'm the founder of CLAPAI. CLAPAI stands for Child Love and Protection Advocacy Initiative. CLAPAI has been running for the past 14 years. We have 2 orphanages in Jos and also 2 free schools in Jos. One in Jos East and the other one in Jos South. Among the projects that we do in CLAPAI, we do the human trafficking campaign. The orphanage is a project on its own. I'm also a trained educationist. We do the anti-drug drug campaign. We have the Pad a Girl campaign, which we distribute pads to the less privileged and the people or ladies, girls in our immediate community, and also other communities that need it. And we also train girls on how to use and make reusable pads for sustainability. We have the nutrition project that we do. This is just few among many projects that we do in CLAPAI. Yes, so basically, okay, I'm a mother. Yes, everybody calls me Mama Yara.
Yes.
So I'm a mother. I have 3 biological children and over 400 children.
Wow.
and counting.
Wow. Fantastic.
I'm a wife. It's one
Yes.
house, one husband.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you very much,
Basically,
Ma.
that is it.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Seems like we have so many educationists and trainers on the panel today, and I believe that would make it so very interesting. Welcome, Ma. Okay, can we have Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba now? Let's see if your audio is sorted out. Oh, I still cannot hear you. We still can't hear you, Ma.
It's really, really bad.
Okay. All right. Okay, maybe you should. Okay, let me give you a suggestion. Maybe you should log out and log in again. And let's see if that will solve it. Okay, you can log out and then join us again, and that could work the magic. Thank you. All right, so let's go to our doctor in the house, our medical doctor, young medical doctor, Dr. Afrah Jemal Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Mayokun. Thank you very much, ladies. It's nice to be here. My name is Afrah Jemal Mohammed. I'm a young medical doctor, like you said. I just finished like 4 months ago, about to start my internship. I started Life for Moms when I was in 400, 500 level, when I went to the hospital and saw like women having to die of conditions that are easily treatable, easily addressed early enough due to like simple things like going for antenatal care, and all that can identify those problems. So it made me start Life for Moms. Basically, that's the what we work towards doing, like educating women that they should know some of these danger signs before time. They should go for antenatal care so that all these things can be picked early enough. Like, I feel pregnancy should not be something that could cause the death of a woman. So yeah, that was how Life for Moms started. I got my classmates to help me out. Because of that, I got some trainings, and then basically I got to know like I'd have to learn some entrepreneurship lessons. So from the Next Economy to the Tony Elumelu Foundation, I was able to get like basic knowledge about how to run the organization. So far, I've been able to reach like 221 women, and yeah, we're counting. We're still like early career. So yeah, thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction. Somebody dropped in the chat room, one of our attendees dropped that he or she could actually hear Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba, but our volume was low. So, thank God she has logged out and logged back in, and we would like to hear a brief introduction now. Okay, Ma, please, can you increase the volume of your audio? Maybe there is something you just need to click on to increase the volume of your audio. I actually understand that internet connectivity can be a challenge, in this part of the world, but we would power through today. So if anyone goes off and on, it's understandable. Okay, please, I'm sure our attendees would really, really understand. Okay, even me, I cannot vouch for my internet connection. Okay, so but then we just have to adapt to what has been termed the new normal. Okay, so Mrs. Rosemary, can we? All right, it seems the audio is still having a challenge. We will hope that would be resolved as we go on with this panel session today. So once again, you are all welcome. And a big thanks to all our attendees. I can see a few names. Abhinav Gautam, you're welcome. Blessing Oloyo, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us once again. Abib Jemal, you're welcome. Ikma Abdurrahim, you're welcome. Noreen Ngami, you are welcome. Rabiatu Sani, you are welcome. Sonia Atten, you are welcome. Zainab Arno, you are highly welcome to today's panel session, where we will be discussing women and the future of work. Okay, so Mrs. Rosemary, can we have you now? Is it sorted out? Can anybody hear her? If you can hear her, can you just wave?
Can't hear her.
Okay, well. We can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. So sorry about that. So I think you should keep tweaking, and then hopefully you would. But can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mrs. Rosemary? Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. Wow, this is serious. Okay, maybe can you log in with your phone? It seems like you logged in with a computer. Okay, so maybe you should switch to another device. Okay, you could just log out of your computer and then use your phone instead. Okay, good. All right, so we would be expecting her to join us soon. Okay, so now to today's topic, women and the future of work. I would quickly read this write-up from the Stanford Social Innovation Review, which says that there's a growing consensus that women's economic empowerment is necessary to drive global growth and sustainability. Yet, governments and companies around the world have done little to respond to how the changing nature of work will impact women differently from men. Despite a wealth of research on gender, on the future of work, through the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution, and even some research bringing these topics together, not much is changing in practice. The most common risk to women is automation and artificial intelligence due to the concentration of women in lower and middle skilled jobs, such as manufacturing and clerical jobs. The risks that technological advances will have a greater negative impact on women than men is aggravated by the current lack of women in STEM jobs, as well as the low percentage of girls and women who are training in STEM. Now, also I'll read something from BSR, which is Business for Social Responsibility. And according to them, this changing nature of work has unique implications for women. Disruptive technologies are affecting both the quantity and quality of women's jobs, while systemic constraints impact the ability of women to transition into new sectors. Workplaces are increasingly requiring new skills and calling for experiences in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM. But the lack of women in STEM fields and gaps in technical skills could hold women back. Contingent work and new gig economy opportunities are disrupting traditional work models, which presents new challenges for women due to violence and harassment, unpredictable hours, and unequal wages and benefits. The question businesses must face then becomes, how can we navigate the broader challenges, or rather the broader changes taking place in the world of work in a way that accelerates women's workplace participation. Thank you for listening to that brief introduction. And then I would like to take our contributions now. But then Mrs. Rosemary, welcome back. Mrs. Rosemary, welcome back. I think there's still a challenge. I think there's still a challenge. I don't know what's really going on with your network. I don't know what's really going on with your network. But thank you for joining us. We would carry on, and then probably we hope that.
Can you hear me now?
Better. Thank God and thank you. We can hear you now. So what did you do? What was that thing you clicked?
Really, I don't know.
All right, Mrs. Rosemary, welcome. Quickly give us a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll go into the discussion proper.
My name is Rosemary Ettaba, ANIPR, a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Well, how do I introduce myself? I'm a woman of many parts, so really. An entrepreneur, media consultant. I've worked with NTA for over 10 years, voluntarily retired, full-time in business, lover of children. Of course, you heard of Forest Hamlet. Forest Hamlet Amusement Park came up out of my passion for children and for family. And we decided to bring that up, to bring children together and families together to bond, which we did not have in Plateau State when we came initially. And I'm a producer, presenter, not an editor. I'm a businesswoman.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Like that.
Okay, great. Wow. Glad to hear from you, to learn more about you. Thanks for that introduction. So we would be starting with you on the first question for today, and that is what comes to your mind when you hear the term future of work? What can you tell us? What's your own understanding of the term future of work?
The future of work for me is making work easier in the future with the use of maybe gadgets, with the use of the internet, with a lot of things around us. Like for me, let me put myself, for instance, if I'm on social media, I know that my work can be easy. So simply put, future of work is making work easier with equipment and the knowledge we have in the future, I guess.
All right, thank you for that. So we will be taking contributions from all the panelists for every question that I bring forward. And you are free to make your contributions as you deem fit. Okay, so can we hear from Dr. Afrah? What can you tell us about the term future of work?
I think future of work is all about people, the way they work, where they work, and even who is the person at work, and then the way technology drives all these things. From my little research, I found out that there are two main components of the future of work. The first one is the adoption of artificial intelligence, that's AI for short. Most things are moving towards AI. Most organizations are inculcating AI into their working processes and operations. And then the second part is expansion of the workforce to include both on and off balance sheet talent. For what we mean now, the unbalanced sheet talent are those regular employees that are employed by organizations. They are already on the payroll, and then they have particular job descriptions and all. Then the off-balance sheet talent are those freelancers, independent contractors, non-employees. They're not really part of the payroll, but some jobs like are outsourced to them based on their talents and based on what they do. So yeah, basically, that's a picture of work.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for that. Okay, can we hear from Mrs. Kaneng Rwang-Pam? What can you tell us about the term future of work?
Well, short of repeating what has already been said, both ladies have actually captured what the future of work is. I see the future of work as the next industrial revolution, probably the 5th global industrial revolution. In Nigeria, we're probably still between the 2nd and the 3rd, but it is the next industrial revolution. We're still talking artificial intelligence, but the world has moved beyond artificial intelligence right now. So we have a situation where you have more machines, more robots, displacing human beings from work. If you look at our generation, in our parents' generation, if you're in your 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s, I'll group you as our generation, you'll probably recall that our parents, during their time, they probably needed secretaries in the office, human beings who would, be copy typists. They needed messengers, people to go deliver mails or take letters from office to office. But fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, where we are now, we are so over that. Small organizations, big organizations actually do not see the need to have messengers, like just to give you a letter to deliver in the next office, or we have emails, so this is us. Now we're discussing a world that has moved beyond even where we are now at our level. So to me, the future of work really is the future, the next industrial revolution that is already happening. Nigeria is probably 20 years behind. Many African countries are at least a decade behind on that. But thanks to technology, it's possible to catch on. And yes, I do agree from the preamble you gave, looking at the African context, Nigerian context, where culture and sometimes distorted religious narratives have been used to disempower women, where they get less access to education, less access to everything else. The future of work might be in jeopardy if we're not able to demonstrate more equity, and women would be in trouble, even though women are driving the economies. So yes, it's a now issue. The future of work is now, and is the next revolution.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Thank you for that. It's interesting that you said the world is not even in the 5th industrial revolution, but in Nigeria, we are still between the 2nd and the 3rd, which means a lot of work has to be done. And thanks for that. The world has gone beyond just normal human work into robotics, so it's not just artificial intelligence anymore, but even robotics.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would now take from Mrs. Esther Vihishima, our mom in the house. Let's hear from you what you can tell us about the term future of work.
Thank you. I think we may just be repeating ourselves, but I think the point that we are all trying to drive at as we look at the future of work is a system where machines in form of robots as rightly put by you, taking over the work that is being done by humans. And so we are looking at maybe this coming in the next few years, as our sister was trying to bring about. We are right where behind. But I think this program will do a lot of justice to challenge women to know that we need to, be very, very proactive as we get ourselves into workplaces and even as we run our businesses. So future of work to me is where robots in form of machines are being made to do a lot of, to take over some of the works that are being done by humans.
Great. Thank you very much, Ma. So yes, there is a consensus that the future of work is a technology-driven future. And now we would be hearing from Kyenpiya Nyabam, our views on the future of work. And then also tell us, Ma, what are you doing in your own organization? You are a mother of many. From what you told us from your introduction, you run orphanages, you run schools, and you also have your own biological children. Your children are over 400. How do you, as a woman, how are you preparing for the future of work? You and the women in your organization.
Okay, good evening, everyone. The future of work is what we're doing right now. This is the future of work.
Yes.
I have attended more seminars, more conferences in the past 3 months than I've done in the past like 5 years. Before, I'll have to travel maybe like maximum like 5 times in a year, and then I'll have to pay money for tickets. I'll go and facilitate a training or a conference in another country. But now I'm doing it online. I am seeing people online. I'm talking to them online. I'm facilitating, looking at people, and I'm doing that. I've facilitated online. In the past 3 months, I've done more than 10. If I put it all together, maybe I've done maybe like 18 or so facilitation, and also been, attending conferences and seminars online. So this is the future of work. What we have what we're doing in our organization, we work basically in the rural areas. And Kaneng can attest to that, because she's also, she has trained us, on the project circle management, human trafficking, and other seminars and conferences. We work with women in rural areas, and you know how it is when you are trying to break in and trying to make them understand that, okay, this is where you're supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to do. So most of our teachers are those that are in the rural area. So what have we been able to do successfully? We've been able to train them. We'll be able to get them Android phones. So what we do is we do like cut their salary, we take out from their salary, and also we add on something as part of incentive for them, so that they can be able to get Android phones or tablets to be able to communicate effectively. So we make them, everybody has an email right now. So like Kaneng said, we don't have to send circular like we used to do before. You send it or you write it on the board and thumbprint and just put it there, so that everybody will come and read. There's a circular, on the board. You have to go through it, So right now what we do is send emails to them, and then also send text messages, check your mail. And you check your mail and you reply. And right now, because I'm an educationist, we're able to convert our curriculums into e-copies, and we're able to educate our children wherever our children are. Because here we have an orphanage, but yes, we have those that are in the foster care system. So basically our teenagers. So what we do is we have been able to successfully have a curriculum that we do online and everybody gets it. Most schools do that right now. So it's actually a bit difficult for those in the rural areas, but we in our organization, we have been able to do that.
Excellent and exciting. It's nice to hear that you're actually reaching out to the people in the rural areas and equipping them with these skills that are very relevant for the future of work. Well done, ma. Okay, so let's hear from two other people. Because of our time, everyone may not have to answer every question I would be asking, okay, so that we'll be able to be done. Mrs. Kaneng, can you tell us what you have been doing lately as regards preparing for the future of work?
Okay, so in my small corner, we have at least 5 work strands, from the agro to activation of broadcast projects like radio stations, to trainings, to education advocacy, running spelling bee competitions across the country, then internationally. Technology has actually driven a lot of what we do. One quick example is with broadcast media. When we activated the KTFM 3 years ago, 2017, I believe on the Plateau at least, and from my journeys through other states and other countries, we are in this corner about the first to begin a complete online radio newsroom, and the first paperless newsroom, I dare say, because I haven't heard of that anywhere else. And I have been part of other broadcast organizations. I've worked with Silverbird. I was a pioneer staff of AIT. I was a pioneer staff of Cool FM, talking about Lagos. I had worked with PRTV. Many broadcast outfits have been part of my journey. But I've gotten to a place where I have learned and continue to reinvent my service delivery. So in terms of work, we have a newsroom that is online. We don't use papers anymore. We're able to save a lot on several reams of paper that will be needed in a week. The programs department was 90%, still is 90% online. We set up marketing, the actual work group to be online, 80 to 90%. So a whole lot is going online. And it's actually innovative, especially in this part of the world. I started working online as a portfolio manager for a DFID project way back in 2009. And I was surprised getting back into the Nigerian system that many organizations are still not positioned to operate online. There's several softwares out there. A quick example, I had to go to school for some training in the UK, and I still put in full-time work, and I was able to balance it without any stress. I was able to talk to my Nigerian partners and even have people sign documents. Every department you would expect can actually be online. In fact, when I came back, I started writing proposals, knocking on doors, even approaching governments and telling them, especially politicians, you're very busy, legislators, you travel a lot. You know, you need to be able to move online. I ran out of steam after a few years. I realized the protocol and the red tape has a slightly different pace that you need a bit more patience for. But so I've been able to throw this into almost every service that I conduct. One of our education projects is a spelling bee project. We actually train teachers, we train trainers. Then we step down to young people who are the spellers. And from 2018, for 5 years, we have done that physical. Then from 2018, we decided, okay, it's going to be 50% physical for some interactions and a few surprises that we throw at the coaches, things we don't tell them, where we run certain mocks. So then 50% online. We pushed out a lot of material. A lot of people were still hung up on, we need to see a hard copy manual. So we did that, but it was mostly online. And then from 2019, it was 80% online. Fast forward 2020, it is 100% online. And we're helping people understand how they can explore different options up there. So we use something like Telegram. If you come late, you're still able to catch up with messages. And you can study at your pace. Then we give a specific time where we get your feedback. So, and it's been effective. Otherwise, we would have had to travel across 15 states in Nigeria to be able to achieve this. And we're able to take on, you know, a lot of people on the platform. Then with my other teams, especially the NGO, 99.9% of accounting is online. You know,
Fantastic.
we design
Great.
even vouchers, petty cash vouchers, how to raise requisitions online, even using simple things like WhatsApp, because we have brilliant volunteers who are still gradually transitioning and haven't really caught on to the fire of, you know, where we are now using robotics, but we are still trying to catch up. So it's still a balancing act, but for most of what we do, online. Now we're adapting even more trainings. We used to travel across several states to train people in project management and stuff. Now we're doing more of the online offers where we can do what we're doing right now. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for that. It's interesting to know that you've embraced technology for a very long time, and right now it's 100%. You know, thanks to the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, it has even made it more compulsory, according to what Kyenpiya said. So, and you mentioned JOS, several things you have been able to put in place in JOS, making use of technology. And that would lead to the next question, which I'm going to be asking, and I'll be asking Mommy Esther Vihishima. Mommy, talking about the future of work, do you think the women in JOS and the Plateau State in general are prepared to embrace the future of work?
Thank you. I think I would like to say yes. I would like to say no. In the sense that if I'm to answer the question categorically yes, I want to believe that hearing from Kaneng, I want to believe that there's a little lead out, a way out, preparing women. Yes, it might be at a very small level, small scale, but I want to also believe that being part of this program is for the listeners as well as the women talking, to ensure that we go out there and inject the knowledge we are gathering, the trainings we are receiving, try to ensure that other women are made to understand and to have this knowledge and prepare them for the world of technology that is right at the door. And I want to also say no, because the minds of many women on the plateau, I'm sorry to say that, may still be, you know, just locked down, you know, thinking that work will surely continue as usual. So we need to give a push. I want to advise that we need some of us who has some of these skills needs to give a push so that these women will begin to think outside of the box, since the society is also changing. And I want to believe that the women that we have on the panel this evening and many others who are out there with this knowledge will begin to do this for the woman on the plateau. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. So it's a yes and a no. Yes, if they get skilled or reskilled or upskilled, and no, if they think that it's going to be business as usual. And of course, the world cannot be business as usual anymore. It's like has been said in the past, we used to be, even Startup Grind used to be an in-person event, but it's now virtual since the pandemic. So there is really need for reskilling and upskilling of the women in Jos, in Plateau, and Nigeria and Africa. Now, I would, my next question to Afrah Jemal, Dr. Afrah Jemal Mohammed. Considering all that have been said, what roles do you think private establishments need to play to ensure that women are adequately equipped to embrace this emerging reality?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first thing, as my sisters here have said, is redesigning the work environment for technology and learning. And we do this by enhancing machine-human collaboration, like all those robotics, the AI, and all those things in our respective organizations. Even though, as Kaneng has said, like Kaneng has really applied these things very well within our scope, because the truth is that we have to set a balance between where we are at and where we want to get to. We can't come and bring robotics and all those things here when we're still struggling with electricity and even internet connection. Like how many times we've been going in and out of this meeting. So I like the way she has created that balance between the technology and then the values of our organization, what we have so far, and like it's amazing. I've learned a whole lot from that. Then we also need to expand the alternative workforce. Like instead of just, I think Kaneng has done that very well too. Like instead of just like putting more emphasis on our employees that are on ground, because she can't keep traveling from one state to another, like she says. Like the impact will be more when there's this alternate workforce, this outsourcing of jobs to some people, and there are some people that really have this how do I put it, the talent, like the skill set for this kind of thing. So I think that we would keep that in mind as we are making these changes. Then another thing is the workforce strategy. Like we have to identify that, we have to understand that the demographics are shifting. Like the more with the advance in healthcare, with the advance this life, that's in the overall, if you're looking at the world overall, even though in here, like at this part of the world, we're still struggling with communicable diseases, we are still struggling with the life expectancy is not as high as it is in our Western counterparts. But we have to make sure that we include everybody in this, like this generation. There are generations that have, most of the people, like retirement age here is 65, but it doesn't mean like they wouldn't still, they've had so much experience that they can help with our jobs, like with the upcoming generation. So we have to look for a way to inculcate these people too into our organizations using these methods and strategies. I think, yeah, that's what I have in that regard.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Afrah, for that. So it's important that we redesign the workplace and find a way to integrate machine-human collaboration in our workplaces. Thanks for that. I think we should hear from Mrs. Kyenpiya Nyabam, still on this question. What roles do you think private establishments need to play to ensure, or in fact, I think you already mentioned that. I think from the first, I think you have touched on that even from your initial contribution. So I would ask you a question now. If you were given an opportunity to advise the Plateau State government, because we are talking about our local ecosystem, firstly, which is Plateau State. If you were given an opportunity right now to advise the state government, what would you say to them?
Okay, I'm in the educational sector. So, and I see a lot of lapses in our educational system. I was talking about this the other day, and I said the private schools, most private good schools that we have on the plateau are doing very well in the area of online e-education, you know, and all of that. My children are online every day. They're in school every day. It's like they're in school already. You know, they're in boarding schools, they're in secondary schools, but it looks like my house is even the boarding school, so, you know. So, but the government schools, I have not seen them doing anything yet. I've not seen the government do anything in regards to government schools concerning learning or e-education. Okay, the other time I heard that, okay, they were doing something on PRTV, but I don't think is good enough. So I advise that the government should be able to train the government teachers on, you know, how on e-learning. We have people in the house here. We have Kaneng, we have Auntie Rose, we have Mommy Esther. You know, we have you, we have Afrah, we have lots of people that we can partner. We can all come together. We have the private sector. We can all come together. The NGOs, the INGO. We can all come together and train. If they will allow us to go and train the teachers in the government school. Okay, when we finish training, I know the challenge will be, oh, we don't have Android phones. When you give them Android phones, oh, we don't have data. So how are they going to, you know, go about it if they get the Android phones and if they get the data? It's easy. They can take it out maybe from their salaries or in their incentives and give them maybe like a year subscription so that they will be able to be, you know, they'll be online, they'll be able to educate their children or, you know, better and all of that. So basically that is what.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Basically, you would advise the government to equip the teachers with digital skills so that learning can continue, and they would in turn be passing this to the students and the pupils. Thank you for that. We would find a way to ensure that we get this advice across to the state government. Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba, we would also like to hear from you on this. If you were given an opportunity to advise the Plateau State government today on this issue of women and the future of work, what would you say to them? Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba.
She has to unmute.
Now. Hello? Can you
Hello,
hear me
yes,
now?
yes, clearly.
Okay. I've been in the system, I've worked with the government system for years, and we are used to the way it's been done for many years. You're looking for a file, okay, let me go for where I worked before, the media in particular. We're used to having data on tapes, we're used to storing or having a library where you have lots of tapes, pneumatic tapes, DV tapes, DVDs, and you find out that even up till now, we still have media organizations that are yet to use cloud. We have Microsoft, we have a lot of ways you can store things online. And I think if this is made available to most places like media organizations, they'll be able to save data, they'll be able to save old files that you don't need to start looking for a tape to record it or a tape to bring out something from the archives of many years. You see people searching for materials, searching for things that have been recorded many years back, and it's not easy to find them. You carry the pneumatic tapes, you go look for a place to transfer. I think we have gone beyond that. So if the government starts looking at the new now that we are, saving things on the cloud, it will be easier. And they have to make all this available to workers as well.
All right, thank you so much for that advice. We should transit to cloud computing. We would also get this across to the state government, because at the end of this event, we'll try and do a communique of what was discussed on this panel. Thank you very much, Ma. Our time is fast spent, and it means we are going to be rounding up very, very soon. So we have actually looked at, advice to establishments, advice to governments, but now we need to advise even women themselves, because you can only take, like they say, maybe you can take a donkey to the river, but you can't force the donkey to drink water. Okay, so now we want to hear from everyone what advice you have for women concerning positioning themselves for the future of work. And I would like to start with Mrs. Rwang-Pam. Please, let's be very brief, maybe just 1 minute. This is more like a parting shot. Advice to women out there based on what you know, based on your own experience. Can we hear from you, ma'am?
Okay, so I would say women would have to be self-motivated. Women would have to push themselves to know more. Women will have to fight, continue to fight for the right to make certain choices. Not being rebellious, but being more assertive. Sometimes they may have to be persuasive if they are in cultures where they have to get the buy-in of either men or fathers, but women really have to push themselves. And these days with technology, you can become a professor online using your phone. Learn how to do stuff online. We can learn to cook online, learn to bake, learn to do almost everything online. So women have to be self-motivated. I believe that's the key. So it's not as if the access isn't there so much. It is out there. Push yourself, drive yourself, ask around from your social groups what is relevant based on the kind of business you do, or your networks or your own social circles. What is out there? How can I do it differently? How can I do it better? Two things. Learn to do things differently, which is basically innovation. Also learn to do new things, which is disruption, positive disruption. So that's in a nutshell.
Excellent, thank you for that. So you're advocating self-motivation, like push yourself. So women, the truth is you have to push yourself. You don't have to wait for, you don't have to be given. You don't have to wait for the society to come and give it to you. You have to go and take it. Okay, so exactly. Mrs. Esther Vihishima, can we hear what advice you have for the women folks concerning how they need to position themselves for the future of work?
I think women, we need to keep upgrading ourselves and look for more opportunities to impact.
Thank you, ma. Keep upgrading yourselves and look for opportunities to make an impact. Okay, thank you very much for that, ma. Okay, so let's have from Dr. Afrah. Dr. Afrah Mohammed, let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you very much. Like, I root for lifelong learning, just like Mrs. Esther said, Mrs. Kaneng. We need to, like, our skill sets nowadays, they no longer remain like relevant after 5 years from the little research I got. So if we're working for 30 years, like, we have to update our skills about 6 times in our 30-year long of work experience. That's with the advancement in technology. So we have to engage in lifelong learning. And it would be good to acquire a new technology language, like, especially for the new generation, for the upcoming generation. People like Just Tech Girls, I saw that they are also part of this event. They are really regard. We need to bring up new generation with new technological skills. And yeah, with that, we'll be fine. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Doctor, for that. It's very important that women acquire skills, tech skills, possibly coding skills, programming skills. Okay, so it's not only about making use of a few applications to perform tasks. It's also about learning how to build things. And thank you for mentioning Just Tech Girls. They are part of our partners for this event, and also the Girls Code Initiative. So we have those two organizations in Jos at the moment that are upskilling and reskilling women. So women should take advantage of these skill acquisitions to be able to position themselves for the future of work. And so now let's hear from Mrs. Kyenpiya Nyabam, your advice for women.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we all have a choice. So I will suggest that women join support groups, ask questions, no matter how foolish you think the questions are. Ask questions, learn new things. Every day is school day. I am me like this. I'm a programmer, so and I'm learning. I'm learning every day. So learn new things, new skills. Thank you.
Interesting. Learn new skills. To position yourself, learn new skills. Join support groups. Join communities, relevant communities where you can learn. And interesting to know that you are a programmer, Ma. Well done. And then finally, we will hear from Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba, your advice to women all over Africa, how they can position themselves for the future of work.
I've been able to do a lot of things online. I went all out to learn, to train myself. And that is because I had that zeal and determination to do that. I think that, or I believe that when you're determined to learn, the sky is just a takeoff point. I've been able to market what I do, the services I render online, especially on Facebook, reaching out to thousands of people. So I have been able to do that just by getting the right facilities that I need, and I'm been able to train myself as well. So I would like to say here that the handsets that we have, the gadgets that we have gone beyond just it's a necessity. It's a basic necessity for every business person. And another fantastic thing that is happening online is educational institutions where you can learn at home. You mustn't really go to the university or go to the places to learn. You can just go online, get your master's, your PhD. So women should take advantage of all these areas that are available. Train yourself, get the right facilities that you need, and just keep on doing what is best for you.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that advice to women. So basically, the devices at our disposal, they are not only for socializing, or entertainment. Your handset, your computer should be used for education, for skill acquisition. So many online courses today, free online courses, relevant courses that you can actually take to become a better person. Thank you for that. So our time is fast spent, and this is where we call it a wrap for today's event. And on behalf of Startup Grind Jos team, I want to say a very big thank you to our panelists for joining us today in this virtual session. Mrs. Rosemary Ettaba, CEO, Corrects Amlet, thank you for sparing your time to be with us today. Mrs. Kaneng Rwang-Pam, the lead consultant, KRP Communications. It's been a wholesome time with you. We've learned so much. Dr. Afrah Jemal Mohammed, founder and CEO of Life for Moms. Sincerely, we appreciate your contributions to this discourse. Mrs. Kyenpiya Nyabam, the founder of CLAPAI, we have been really blessed by you. And then to our mommy in the house, sincerely, we are grateful that you were able to join today's event, and you really added a lot of elderly spice to the discourse. We are indeed very, very grateful. And to all our attendees, we say thank you for joining us today. We believe that you have learned a couple of things, and you would be advocates of the things we are trying to preach at Startup Grind, which is entrepreneurship, which is education, which is inspiration, which is connection. We would be coming your way again this week because we still have 2 events for the month. We still have another panel session, which we are having a collaboration with other chapters in Nigeria. You can visit our website, www.startupgrind.com/Jos, to get a ticket where you can be a part of it. It's coming up on Saturday. And also on Sunday, we will now be having a skill acquisition session, which is being anchored by Just Tech Girls. It's going to be a 2 hours training on digital marketing, talking about content writing, content development, SEO, email marketing, just name it. Things you need to know in order for you to be able to promote your business online in the world today. So it is at this junction, we won't be taking any questions from attendees, but thank you for joining us. It is at this junction that I say thank you for joining us, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Leaders Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more who represent our community all around the world. This month's SG Women Month is proudly presented by Google for Startups and Silicon Valley Bank.